which is a female empowerment platform that assists women and teen girls to be able to be versions of themselves. And this show, Conversations with Asiya, is all about educating and empowering the women in our communities and the girls that they are raising. So without further ado, as I mentioned before, I want to introduce some amazing things. And so I want to introduce them. You can actually see there's like a cover in the front. So we're going to learn more about that and how it connects to our guests on our show today. So we're going to introduce the first co-author, which we have 5 today out of the 10 authors that are all about this book. So I would like to introduce the first author, and her name is Valerie. Valerie, welcome to the show, Conversations with Asiya. Welcome.
Asiya, thank you so much. The writing of this book was amazing, with current friends and new friends. And I got to tell you guys, if you ever want to write a book, you have to have Asiya walk you through it. Her master class is amazing. So my name is Valerie Drew. I'm a vice president at Deutsche Bank and ahead of all of the global technology regulatory items that go along for Deutsche Bank. And I get to deal with regulators and monitors in every country. My chapter of the book is really about how I started out and how I transitioned from being an engineer to going into more of the computer science tech side of the house on the business side. And, you know, it definitely can resonate with everyone. The name of my chapter is called Keep Moving Forward, the Game Plan. And it's really about strategy, right? Like you need to have a game plan for your life in every aspect of your life. You need to have a game plan. So I really was honest and open and vulnerable. I wrote about my mistakes. I wrote about family encouragement, all of my support that came from within my family, my dad, my mom, my siblings. So hopefully there's something in there for everyone to resonate with. But I particularly resonated with the first chapter, which was by Dr. Khadijah, which talked about her struggle as well. I'll let her, go through that. But every chapter of the book is amazing. There is something for everyone in this book, and you will definitely learn and grow with it. So thank you.
Welcome. Well, thank you so much for the introduction. And I want to talk more because I think that's one of the amazing things about this book is that overcoming achievements, but it also talks about the mistakes. A lot of you women are so, all of you here were so transparent about your journey, things that you're like, oh, I had to learn from that. So I'm so happy that you mentioned that you mentioned some of that. So we're going to talk about that a little later on the show, but thank you and welcome. Welcome, Valerie Drew. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you.
So now we're just going to move on down to Mr. H.E.R. Mr. H.E.R, welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
H.E.R, there you go.
Yes, I can hear you, and I am so
If you could
excited.
introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is H.E.R. Baker Moore. I am an excited co-author of this book, working with such amazing talent that also had the transparency and vulnerability to tell all of our stories in order to uplift and empower our sisters that are out there, as well as anyone else that really needs to hear that empowering message. As far as my background is concerned, it's a diverse background. I always like to start off by saying I know my purpose in life is to use my voice to uplift, encourage, and inspire others to live out their best life, to live out their purpose. And that's why this book aligns so much to what I want to do in life. And in addition to that, from a just educational as well as professional background. I've been grounded in marketing as well as learning and development. So that's my background from an educational and professional standpoint. The title of my chapter is The Love You Seek. I believe that sometimes we have a tendency of looking outwards for love, for validation, instead of looking within and really challenging what's inside of us in order to see the beauty that is within us. And that's what that chapter pretty much discusses for the audience at large. So thank you for having me here, Sia. Look forward to continuing this conversation, and I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you so much, H.E.R, for that beautiful introduction. I just want to make sure that all of us are hearing each other. Can everybody hear H.E.R when she was speaking?
Yep.
Yes.
Before, yeah?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Perfect. So thank you so much, H.E.R. I heard you. I just wanted to make sure everyone else did. So thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And Valerie mentioned her, so we're going to move on to Dr. Khadijah. Dr. Khadijah, welcome.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, all, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure and honor to be a part of this amazing project. It was very, very informative to myself to even be a part of this amazing project. I'm Dr. Khadijah Ismail, a dentist by profession of 20 years actually this year. Um, I'm the founder of Women of Wellness of New Jersey. It's a STEM program in which we mentor students in the fields of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. And we mentor them in the professions of dentistry, medicine, nursing, engineering. And it's an amazing program. My chapter is a letter to my daughter. So my daughter has been on the journey with me as well, of course, throughout life. But it was very special to me to write a letter to my daughter, uplifting her and informing her of her purpose and being her cheerleader, letting her know that she can do any and everything that she aspires to be. And she never has to choose between being a woman of faith and being a woman of secular knowledge, because I think the two are congruent, and you never have to choose. In my chapter, I'm not going to share too much of it. Growing up, I often felt in the communities that they often made me feel that I had to choose. Either I had to be religious and a woman of faith, or or you're over here and you're being a secular, woman. And like I said, in my studying and in my history and in my research, it's always been congruent, because your study of secular knowledge should increase your faith. And because of your faith, whatever you do in life, secularly, it, in anything in life, you should be a beacon in any of those fields that you come into and make those fields better because of your faith. So again, my chapter was a letter to my daughter, and in encouraging her, many women of faith can see, or it's because it's for every woman. It's for every woman, but mine was a letter to my daughter and inspiring women in general. So it's a pleasure and honor to be here, and I'm just want to continue on this journey to enlighten, empower, inspire all women as we unite and lift each other up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you definitely did that in your first chapter. So I'm so excited excited for the readers to read every chapter, but it definitely it set the tone. Your chapter being the first chapter of the book really set the tone for what was the finish, with Valerie, with, the game plan. It's like, it was just, the way it all came together was just amazing. So thank you for that beautiful introduction, Khadijah, and welcome to the show. And you are
Thank
not
you.
a first time on this show. You've been on our show a few times, so welcome back, I should say.
Yeah.
All right, moving on along to Claudette Maldonado. Claudette, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Asiya. Thank you so much. And thank you to my beautiful co-authors. This journey, whew, was it was definitely life changing. It opened my eyes to see more for not just myself, but my children, the women around me, my son. So this was just a great opportunity for me to grow as an individual and to see that my life is more than just my 9 to 5. I work for the city of New York, and sometimes we get consumed in our job, but I meet so many different people. I've met so many different people, and I realized that my journey is can help other people. It helped me writing this chapter because it made me see my strength, and then co-authoring with all these women, it made me level up. It made me level up, and it made me see that you never stop growing. It's a continuous thing, this life that we all have, and I was just glad that Asia gave me the opportunity with all these women. My chapter title is Rewriting Legacies, A Journey Towards Healing and Empowerment. Now, I struggled when I first started writing the chapter because it's like I had so many different experiences and I didn't know what would be moving, but I kept going back to this one thing. And I was talking with my mother, my sister, and I realized that as a Latina, we all have first off, we have a very strong history, and some of the generational trauma that was passed down from my mother to myself to my children. I became aware of it, and at first, I thought that sharing it would cause problems, would cause trauma to everyone else. But I learned how to talk differently. I just learned how to meet people where they at, and this chapter for me was such a release. It made me feel proud of myself, what I overcome, and it showed me where I need to improve. And with the guidance of the other women and myself and my children, life can be happy. You don't have to stay stuck in the past. So I'm just excited for everybody to read the book, because not just my chapter, but that first chapter really did set the tone, and the growth with every chapter until you get to the end is amazing. Excuse me. So hopefully, when everybody gets the book, they're not going to want to put the book down. You're not going to want to put this book down. And I just thank us, Asia, again for bringing us all together, because we were all aligned.
I love that. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you, ladies. All of you are saying thank you to me, but the content was you ladies. The book, what's making it so powerful is the fact that you were transparent, that you were authentic, that you were real about the topics. And I wanted to just say to those that are tuning in, and welcome, and thank you so much for tuning in. This book, as Dr. Khadijah was mentioning, is everyone, literally. No matter what stage you are in your life, this book is for everyone, because that's why we hand selected the women that participated in this particular project, is because we wanted to touch different women, different stages of their life, different ethnicities, even different faiths. Like, we wanted to touch everyone. And in each of these chapters, the women share their stories and the journey that they went through in these stories, and how they came to where they are, penning it all, for this beautiful book called H.E.R. And if you're looking at the acronyms, I just thought it just resonated, because Jessica Cares has acronyms, the book H.E.R. has acronyms, and the acronyms in H.E.R. stands for Healed, Empowered, resilient. So you can imagine each and every one of these women literally embodies those words. And so their chapters are just a reflection of that. Didn't come from places where they needed to be healed, but they came from a place of empowerment. So empowered, and each and every one of them are resilient. So they're sharing all of their stories. So I just want to tell you, like Dee Dee says, this is a book that once you read it, it's going to be
Yeah.
one of those, I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to get through this book because I can't put it down. So it's a great book. So all right, thank you and welcome and for that beautiful, introduction, Dee Dee. So I know your name says Claudette, but I call her Dee Dee. Her close friends call her Dee Dee. So if you hear me say Dee Dee, it's just I'm just used to calling her that. But her name is Claudette. So welcome, Claudette. And
Thank
last
you.
but definitely not least, we have Miss Sasha.
Yes, assalamu alaikum. Great morning. Peace to everybody. My name is Sasha Beckett Abdullah, and I am from Cleveland, Ohio, y'all. Woo woo. And yes, indeed. But first, I'm going to just keep in line with what the ladies have said. We definitely have to give props to Asiya Nasir, founder of Jessica Cares, for putting together this phenomenal, dope authors master class. I mean, I was just blown away. Even when she asked me to be a part of this, I just said, okay. And especially, I had already said I wanted to write a book, and that was my intention to do that. Sooner than later. And she made it happen sooner. So I was like, holla. So I was like, it's on. So really giving her and these dope, amazing women. When I connected with them, I was just like, oh man, I'm like, the stars are aligning, everything just lining up. So, I was just real pumped. And so a little bit about myself briefly. Again, like I said, I'm from Cleveland, born and raised. I am the mother of 7 phenomenal children, and a divorced mother, 7 phenomenal children. And also I am the founder and executive director of ABC Read, and which is a nonprofit organization as well. I'm about literacy, a reading tutor, have a podcast that focus on literacy, empowering our Black and underserved communities as it pertains to literacy. So with that being said, now I want to move into my chapter briefly. The title of my chapter is Escaping the Fear Trap House. Okay, Escaping the Fear Trap House. And the reason why I titled it that is because most definitely I was talking to myself first, because that is something, as we know, fear is something that, yes, we do need. However, it can debilitate you if it is not something that you manage, and if you do not push through when there are times when you need to. And I go into how the fears that I have dealt with, it goes into my childhood and the different things that I had experienced, just like a lot of us in particular in our Black and brown underserved communities when it comes to that post-traumatic slave syndrome. And that's why I talk about that in the book, that generational trauma that is real. And that is something that is at the crux of why we have a lot of the issues and maladaptive behaviors in our communities. And fear being one of those things. Again, yes, we need fear. We need a healthy dose of fear. Yes, because it helps us to be able to, okay, wait, I can't, go out and do that or whatever, because that, that could cause potential harm or danger. There could be danger. However, when it comes to things that we know we need to take calculated risks, we need to make decisions right away, being able to trust our gut and our intuition. If you are always in a fearful state, you don't do that. You don't trust yourself. You're always self-doubting. You're always second guessing yourself. You're always afraid to speak, when you need to speak, and different things like that. And those are things that I have dealt with all throughout my life. And again, it goes into the things, the relationship with my mother, the relationship with my father. That's why I'm pretty transparent with that. I even told my parents, even before I wrote the chapter, I said, I'm going to be talking about some things that is my story that occurred. And it's not to try to denigrate or condemn you at all, but it's about healing. This is for me. This is my journey. And it's also for those sisters out there and brothers too. But definitely, we're talking to our sisters, I'm saying, most definitely, and how we have to make sure that we're addressing these issues if we want to see the best version and be the best versions of ourselves. So I highly implore everybody to make sure that you grab a copy of this book, because each of these chapters, every sister on here is talking about their journey and talking about how they took their setbacks and turned them into comebacks. So we definitely really implore that you get this book.
Thank you so much for that, Seisha. Seisha bringing in that literary, she got the gift again. I'm gonna tell you, because she reads, she has the vocabulary, she says what we're thinking, and she just put it into sentence. So much beautiful introduction, and all of you had such amazing introductions, and I'm so glad that we're, Conversations with Asiya is putting you in the forefront of the amazing work that you've been doing in the background that people weren't even aware of, and now we're putting it right on Front Street. For those that might just be tuning in, I just want to let you know these are 5 of the amazing 10 co-authors of a book that's coming out, H.E.R, which stands for Healed, Empowered, and Resilient. And they're talking about their literary journey. And you may think like, okay, so why is that important? When you learn about the book, or when you purchase the book, which I put the link in here so that way you can go in there and pre-order your book, because we are closing pre-orders on June 1st. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. So you want to make sure you get your pre-order so that way it can be signed by these amazing authors. So, again, thank you, ladies, for, coming in and introducing yourself. I want to ask you a question, because I know when people think of the word author and they think of, writing their truth and sharing their particular stories, that can be, intimidating for some. So when you were asked, to participate in this particular project, which is to co-author and self-publish a book, an empowerment book on top of that, what were your initial thoughts and what made you say yes?
I guess I can go first.
So we're going to start with
okay. All right.
Valerie, what did you think when you were asked?
Absolutely. I wanted to make sure that I added value. I wanted, so a couple of life lessons that I was always taught was, always know how you feel about something. And so I took time to reflect on, what value can I bring to the table? How can I help others in sharing a particular story? Because as some of my co-authors have said, all of us have stories, right? So what stories did I want to bring that would really help others? And what tools can I give them in my chapter that will help them, overcome and move forward and to spring forward? So I actually rewrote my story about 7 or 8 times, different aspects of it. I'm not talking about proofreading. I'm talking about writing. And it is, it is just, I want it to be very transparent. And it deals with, part of it is dealing with fears, dealing with things that I had never faced before. I was no longer at home. I was away from home. College was over. I'm out in the workforce, and what I had to overcome as a Black woman engineer, the trials and tribulations that I had to go through. And even as you climb the corporate ladder, you continually go through things. And it's important for you to summon the strength that you need to be successful. So I know that my story is not unique, but I wanted to share what I did, how I overcame, and then provide tools for other women to use so that they themselves can be successful. So that was my primary focus and my responsibility in contributing to this book.
Absolutely. And Valerie did just that. Valerie, you gave tools in your particular chapter. There is space for the readers to actually write out, their thought process as they're going to make the connection from your journey and what you went through and the tools that you use, and now how they can use those same tools to be successful. Because Valerie, you are extremely successful in your field, very knowledgeable in your field, and you give the readers an opportunity to write it out, because writing is so important. That's why we hear journaling is extremely important to growth,
Yes.
to healing, to anything that's positive. Journaling is great. And your particular chapter gave the reader specific tools that they can actually use and make the connection for themselves to go from here to where they want to be. So it was amazing. And that's how we ended the book, with you providing that opportunity for the readers to be able to say, okay, I'm reading all this good information. How do I make this happen for me? How do I implement this in my own life? So thank you, Valerie, for doing that. And you took that responsibility really serious, and you can see that in the manifestation of your particular chapter. So thank you so much for that. So for anyone reading, this is from, this book has something for everyone, from mothers. If you're struggling with communicating to your children, Dr. Khadijah got the chapter for you. If you are an entrepreneur and you're like, I want to move from A to Z, we got a couple of authors here, Valerie being one of them, that really gives you the blueprint of how you can move, and it doesn't have to be conventional. So, we have that in the book. We have those that are looking to heal, and how they took their, the trauma that they went through and how they made it different. They made the choice to be different. And that's Dr. Sasha, and Sister Sasha here, and that they share some. I was in tears. I'm not gonna lie. I was in tears when I read Claudette's chapter and Sasha's chapter. I resonated with so many things in Sasha's chapter. When I look at Tashara chapter was like talking to your BFF. She wrote like she was talking to her, like the auntie, the best friend. The chapter was, it was so raw. I felt like I was in the room with Tashara, and she was sharing how you really, when we say we love ourselves, what does that actually look like? And when she challenged you, was it really manifesting self-love? So it's something literally for everyone in this chapter. So Tashara, when you were asked to participate in this project, again, when people hear author and sharing their story, it's kind of overwhelming, sometimes intimidating. What were your initial thoughts about participating?
My initial thoughts were, am I going to have time to do this? And what am I going to say? And I don't know what to say. Like I have a lot of lessons and experiences that I've learned, and to tailor all that into about 10 to 12 pages was such a challenge, right? But it forced me to be very focused on, if I had the microphone for the world to hear one thing that I needed to say, what would be that one thing? And when I was able to start from that point, that's when I really started to reflect on major themes in my life, like times in which I looked outwards for approval or I needed to be accepted. And it's not just with organizations, with friend groups, with people, in relationships. And I really started to question, well, what is love? Like, what is self-love? What does that mean? And self-love is so tied to self-acceptance. So in drilling down this thought process, it helped me to get to the point of, I'm going to write about the love you seek, because I want to make sure that people are grounded in the fact that you will never be able to get from outside sources what you're able to get from strengthening the relationship within and from a spiritual standpoint, strengthening that relationship too. So that was my focus. And then I also had to make sure that I was planning out the proper time to really devote to writing, right? Because we all have something that we want to do, but when we really want to do it, we have to make sure that we prioritize it. So that was a learning lesson for me in this whole process, but I'm looking forward to just seeing everyone just devour the lessons in this book and use it to their advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Tashara, and you did that. When we were, working on it, and I was asking if you want feedback and things like that, you were the first one that was like, "I got my chat. I got some things written. Let me share it with the team and my co-authors here." And you shared it, and it inspired everyone. Like, okay, I kind of have an idea now. How I want to go about my chapter. So you really helped, everyone else through, doing that. So thank you so much for sharing that as well. So I'm going to ask the other ladies, the same question. What, when asked to participate in this project, what were your initial thoughts, which I thought was hilarious when Tashara said, "Am I going to have time for this?" And what made you actually say yes to doing it? So I'll start with Dr. Khadijah, then Seisha, and then Dee.
Okay. Yes. So initially, when asked, my first initial impression and my first initial thought was, uh-oh, uh-oh, because me, what's hard sometimes for me is to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Oftentimes, you're doing things for years and you get set in a comfort area. And I always challenge my own students, hey, you got to push yourself. You got to go into other things. You have to experience to see the exposure. So again, I took this opportunity to say, hey, I've never been an author before. I've never done anything like this before. But you know what? I'm going to be that person that I inspire and challenge everyone else to be. And I'm going to do it. And I had my daughter as my cheerleader as well. She's like, "Mommy, anything that you write on paper, anything that you put down, it's gonna be brilliant, Mommy. Like really." So I'm like, "Really?" So she was like, "Yeah, Mommy, really." I was like, "Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna do it." And so that's exactly what happened. I took on the challenge, pushed myself, and it wasn't that difficult to remind her of her history, her spiritual history, and her linear history. I come from I'm African American. I come from a history of a legacy of and powerful, strong women who came from the South, made it up here through the Great Migration, but who are descendants indeed of slaves here in America, enslaved people in America, and who made the Great Migration from Georgia, Alabama, coming up here to the North in pursuit of a better life. And through their struggles and persistencies, they've always inspired their children to be great, even in the, um, the trials and tribulations and with poverty and with single homes and with the, life, period. They instill in their children to have a better life, to live a better life, and to um, value education. Even when my grandparents grew up in segregation up here in the North, and their means were limited, they always had that desire and love for education, learning to read, learning to write. My grandparents on my mother's side, unfortunately, they they grew up in a schoolhouse where everyone was in the same grade. Everyone was in the same schoolhouse. So it wasn't until years later that I really didn't realize that my own grandmother, like maybe eighth grade, ninth grade, but I never knew that because she loved, like, she would always buy books. She would always encourage us to read. She would always have us read into her. She would always, so I never knew until when I gotten older, like, wow. But it was because of course, their situations that it still didn't kill their desire for their children to be better. So, in writing, I said, okay, what do I have to say? What do I want her to always remember? And how can this be beneficial to other women all over the world? And when I wrote it, I was really, really pleased with it. And I think it's something that we all can relate to. So when my daughter read it, she actually said, you know, Mommy, this is excellent. And I've been hearing these stories my entire life. So to see it actually on paper, I have, you know, that I can share with my daughter and she'll share with her daughter, you know, it's really, really uplifting and it's beautiful, Mommy. And that was the, you know, one of the most highest fulfillments of all. So you're gonna love the book. My chapter is first, but all of the other ladies in the entire book, like I couldn't put it down from beginning to end. Like I just every chapter that came, I just kept because it's from we have the you know domestic violence, overcoming the domestic violence. We have entrepreneurship. We have so many arrays of chapters, and it's something for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's, you know, it just aligns, I think, you know, with women and girls, you know, with social media and everything, just influences from outside, mother-daughter dynamics can be challenged. And you being able to be a way shower as to how you make the connection from generation to generation and knowing your history, how it impacts your relationship, the blueprint for what that looks like, what that sounds like, and how you take your history to empower your child. So that way they're not influenced with outside influences that may not be good for them, but letting them know this is the stock that you come from. And that was just amazing. For you to share that. So I want every mother to, when you read that chapter, I want you to pen a letter to your beautiful daughter, you know, and is a game changer for any child, any young lady. Talking about self-acceptance with Dr. You know, with Tashara's you know, chapter, talk about self-acceptance and self-love. It starts from, you know, what birthed you into this world. And Khadijah, you know, Dr. Khadijah, you did an amazing job with what that actually looks like, because sometimes we hold things inside and we don't think that it's important to share it with our daughters. We assume they know. And you were like, no, I'm going to share her history, share the mothers, from spiritual to biological, you know, the stock that she comes from and why she should self-accept and love herself. And so I love that. I love that. All right, Seisha, when you were asked to participate in this project, what were your initial thoughts and why did you say yes?
So my initial thoughts was I felt excited. I felt honored. And I remember, you know, expressing that to you because, again, like I stated before, that was my intention anyway, to write a book, even though I initially said I wanted my first book to be a children's book. And I did not think I was going to be a co-author. I thought my first book, you know, I was, like I said, write a children's book on my own and, you know, do that. And so this opportunity, when it presented itself, I said, wow. And then what I really, really appreciated was how again, the steps that you took us through and how we had to create that avatar. And you were like, you got to write down, who are you talking to? What does that person look like? And I remember you having us do these homework assignments, and you wasn't playing. You said you got to make sure that you do all of these, because these are the steps that is going to take you into being an authentic author. And I think about author, I think about authenticity, being real, being somebody, especially with the book that we have written. If we're talking about being healed, empowered, and resilient, we have to keep it real. That doesn't mean we have to divulge every single aspect of our lives. But if we want to resonate with people and we want them to be able to buy in and say, you know what, she's speaking to me, or she's speaking to my daughter or my niece, or my mother or whomever, then we have to make sure that we are being authentic and we are being transparent as much as we, feel comfortable with being, so that we can say, you know what, these are things that we have overcame. And these are things that, again, we're still, like I tell people, even when I'm promoting the book, I'm always saying I'm still a work in progress. There are things that I still have to push through. There are things I have to remind myself about, pushing through that self-doubt. I think about, again, I jotted some things down: fear, self-doubt, second guessing, reactionary parenting, because I talk about that too, not just only my parents, but how that transformed into my parenting, my toxicity in my parenting. And these are real things. And that's what made me say, you know what? This chapter, folks need to hear this. When you know how we get into this thing sometimes, and especially when you are feeling bad or guilty about things that you've done, sometimes you feel like, well, dang, man, I'm the only one. And oh my God, man, people are going to be judging me. I'm like, wait, hold up. And that's when I had to stop myself. I'm like, first of all, no, I'm not the only one. Secondly, I know where this came from, because this is my area. This is what I study. I study the fact that our folks have suffered tremendously, and we're still suffering from that post-traumatic slave syndrome and passing down these, this transgenerational trauma that's been permeating through our culture. And I said, I'm going to be a cycle breaker. And that's what made me decide. I said, you know what? I said, I'm going to tell my story. Someone needs to hear it. First, I need to hear it, because I need to accept what happened. That's why my first one, I talk about acceptance. And then I go into explaining all of that. And then I go into all the different steps in terms of what you have to do in order to get to that point where you're saying, you know what? I want to be better. I don't want to keep passing down this crap. And inshallah, God willing, I'm not going to. And I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so that's what made me decide and say, you know what? This is for me. And it's not just for me. It's for those who are on that journey as well, who are trying to push through and they're trying to heal, because, again, they want to be the best versions of themselves. So there you have it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. So talk about being authentic. I mean, she just laid it out there, and that's what every author did in this book. They really was real. And even me, as the instructor and facilitator of the course, when everyone submitted their chapters, I was like, look, you ladies blew me away. And I love to read, and I read a lot. I've read books that I absolutely love, and I've read books that I'm like, I don't know how this got on. Well, anyway, but when I read your chapters, it was amazing. It was amazing read. I learned lessons. I resonated. I related. So I'm sure, have it here, right? I have it right here where you can actually get your pre-order. It's paypal.me $29.99. That's the cost of the book, which includes shipping and handling. So now we're going to go over to Dee Dee. Dee Dee, what made you participate in this project, and what were your initial thoughts?
Well, we had did a class together before that. My desire since I've been young was always writing. Like when I was young, I was writing poems, And in the back of my mind, I always said I would love to write a book. I imagined writing the book, what it would be like. But um, when she asked me to participate, I was like, okay, well, what would I have to tell that would make everybody else, excited to read? And I just was going through a particular time in my life where, I transitioned from thinking that everybody was doing things to me, and I started realizing my role in what was happening around me. And the choices I was making. And that right there took me through. I mean, I would be home crying, laughing, talking to myself like, "You serious? You did that?" And I had this quote that Nas is in one of his songs where he says, "Everything becomes clearer when you wipe down the mirror." Now that right there has led me to such a journey, and realizing that I've come across a lot of people in my life, what people I perceive to be good, bad, hurtful, loving, supportive. And I realized that, everybody has trauma that they may or may not be aware of. And I started looking at myself, how I was parenting, like you said, parenting, very reactory, not listening to others, not it was just so many toxic traits that I had. And when I started to identify them, and then now I'm identifying them and I'm seeing like where they come from and how I can make a difference and change it for the next generation, because I have a 29-year-old and then I got a 16 and a 15. And my mothering style has changed so much, I wasn't as close to my mother as I needed or wanted to be. And then I realized that, okay, why am I blaming her? Those things were stopping me from healing. And I had to look at not what my mother was doing to me, but look at her experience. And when I did that, let me tell you something. My mother doesn't know it, but she is a true, true warrior. The things that she survived, my sister as well. I realized that we are a small family and we were all going through our own traumas, but we weren't doing it together as a unit. And we weren't respecting where the other person was at. So for me, when I was thinking about this chapter, I just realized that it's how you handle things. It's how you heal. It's the energy you give off to the people that you love and you care for. So for me, writing the chapter and Asia challenging me and pushing me, this made me see like my future is not just a 9 to 5 working, dealing with a lot of toxicity at my job. I had to navigate through that as well. So this chapter it gave me back some power. It really helped me to look at myself, and I just want everyone that reads it to understand that things happen to you, but you could just do those things to change your trajectory in life and not stay stuck in that. Like all these women are saying, you got problems, but it's always these things that come into your life are to level you up. And it's how you bounce back from that. And people are always watching you, and sometimes you don't even know how you inspire others. And because people inspire you. And there's a lot of people that have come to me like, yo, just watching you, sometimes I see you and it just makes me feel empowered. And that's what I want when people read this book. I ain't telling you, I'm not because I'm a co-author, not because of these beautiful women, but I'm telling you, when we were reading each other's chapter, I was like, send the next one, send the next one. We were so excited because it truly is a page turner, and you're gonna get something from each and every chapter. So buy the book.
Exactly.
And thanks again to Asiya.
Did I kind of lost you for a little bit?
Oh yes, I was saying thank you so much. I was letting everybody know how.
Can everyone hear me?
We can
Yes.
hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
We all were leveled up doing this book. The way we aligned with each other, and we don't even know each other, was
so
awesome.
As you can see, Dee Dee is extremely passionate, and you can see the growth in her. Like from when I first met Dee Dee to now, it's like a complete to accept things, not just accepting, but like this is not where this doesn't define me. This is where I'm going, and this is what I'm taking with me. And like she said, she's like, I'm taking my family with me. She's like, all of us are gonna be good, you know. So I love that. And so the your family, the matriarchs in your family, you can take from Dee Dee's chapter and really see how you can influence your family. Needs to be done, empowerment needs to be done. You can be inspired by Dee Dee's story. She's the daughter, she's the, you know, the granddaughter, and I'm going to stop it here, you know, with me and my daughter. So amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, you know, all of your reasons this challenge. So what I wanted to ask you is, you know, and any one of you can kind of just chime in. Why is it important for women, even some, you know, college student women who are transitioning from child to adulthood, you know, why is it important for women to read this book? Not just because we're talking about it's my book, I wrote it, but why should women read this book that you believe they're going to have when they read each and every chapter from each and every author? So we're going to start with whoever wants to start. So Seisha, so I see you nodding your head, so I'm going to go with you.
Okay. Like the repeated theme that we all have been saying is we are intentional about becoming the best versions of ourselves, facing our fears, breaking the generational trauma. We are, you know, intentional and focused about making sure that when it comes to healing, you have to you have to be transparent. You have to be able to say, hey, look, I've been there before. And this is what our young people, they need to see that. They need to hear that. We don't need to be talking in a space of, well, you know, I did this and, you know, and we just kind of pointing our fingers and talking about, well, this is what you need to do. And, you know what I'm saying? You do this. No, 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 no. You know, we need this is why this book is important, because we're all are talking about, hey, look, I've been there. Look, I'm still in certain places. I'm still there. I'm still working through certain things, but I'm still pushing through. And so this is why this book is extremely important for our college students. I would even say even like those middle school students too, because, you know, that's that age, you know, where you're like your hormones and, you know, when you're kind of, you're about to go into that, you know, now teenage and adult phase. And you're like, man, why is certain things keep, you know, bothering me? Or why am I having this relationship with my mother? That why do I have these different things that's going on that she's not getting me, or it's not this connection, or with my father, or whatever the case may be. This book right here goes into all of these different things that we have experienced. And now we can let them know you're not alone. You are not alone. This book is telling our story. This book is empowering. It's also a guide. We have tools. We have strategies. Just like you said with Val, she has a place in there where you can write things down. I'm quite sure, you know, there are other areas as well where they can interact with this book. We wanted it to be interactive as well. Not you just reading like, oh, okay, that was great. Put it on the shelf. Like, no, this is like a guide. This is a reference. Like, okay, you know, I can go to chapter, 3 and, wow, this sit with me or whatever. And let me take notes on this, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the case. So again, that's why this book is definitely needed for real. Like I said, I would even start with the middle school ages as well on up. So
I would like to add to that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Val?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with everything my co-author just said. I think what's really important for younger ladies and young men is to know how to fight strategically. So there's a lot of emotions, there's a lot of sensation out there. It's important, one, to recognize how you feel, and then don't react, strategize, have a plan. so that you can win. As long as you're breathing on this earth, you will always have opposition. Whenever you are about to make a breakthrough and to go to that next level, he who shall not be named will always put obstacles in front of you. And you need to know how to fight both here in the physical and in the spiritual. People who are closest to you will cause you harm. You need to know how to fight through that. You need to know how to replenish yourself, how to call on things for yourself, how to go within and pull God out of you to help you fight. You are never alone. You are never alone. There's a strategy to fighting. There's a strategy to winning. You need to always know how you feel about something. Recognize how you feel. Appreciate yourself, as she said. You are your first love. Okay, so do that. It's the God within you that is your first love. Start there and then move forward.
Yeah. So I think it's very, very important for our readers to know they are valuable, they are important, they have a voice, and they can blaze their own trail in any circumstance that they're placed or put into. That you can always, no matter what you couldn't help, I mean, you can't help what parents you're born to, you can't help some situations that you find yourself in, but you can always empower yourself to have a brand new ending. And that's
That's right.
invaluable.
That's right. Absolutely.
To add to that,
I agree. I
to add to that, first and foremost, if you are a person that has gone through any experience in life, you want to get this book, and here's why. I say the word any because the uniqueness about this book is it touches upon so many different experiences in such a vulnerable and such a transparent way. And the way that you can learn more about yourself is really looking through this book and aligning. That sounds like me. I promise you, you will have multiple times as you read this book to say, that sounds like me. And now that I'm able to relate to this story, what are the lessons that I can apply today? It's not today, it's solutions that you could apply today to make a difference in your situation. Therefore, if you are someone who is going through anything, pick up this book because you'll learn more about yourself and how to overcome.
Yes, I agree with you, Sasha, Khadijah, Valley. This book really, even as us writing it, when we met, we all like, it seemed like we were all family, but we all had something to contribute that was uplifting. So the book is not just about like sad stories and staying stuck. No, it's like if you need something to give you inspiration and to empower you to say, okay, today I'm going to do one thing different. You can get into any of the chapters and see what these women have either overcome, or some women that just kept pushing forward. Because I think in life sometimes we feel like if we come from a certain environment or a certain type of lifestyle, we got to stay stuck there because of what we around. But you can always be a leader, and that's what I saw in this book. All these women being leaders and showing that you don't have to stay within what people think of you, with, you know, society thinks of you, or even with your, like Valerie said, your close family members. You have the ability to constantly change your life and make it what you want and aspire to be something different. And I think that for us, even just writing our chapters, we got that from each other, that okay, I wasn't an author before, but now we're all authors. Like it's just inspiring. So get the book, because I'm telling you, whatever chapter, Dr. Khadijah, that first chapter right there, you're gonna be like clapping. You're gonna be reading the book and clapping like you're in a movie theater or something, or at a show. It's very inspiring and empowering and encouraging words that if you're by yourself, you can pick up any of the chapters and feel comfort. And feel real comfort. And you don't even know us, but we all love you. So read the book.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to say how absolutely proud we've done this project before with our teen girls, and our teen girls wrote an empowerment book that is on Amazon now called Overcoming. The book is just an amazing book for teen girls, and now we have women here sharing stories from an experience perspective, sharing their journeys and how you, as Dee Dee said, how you can overcome, how you can come from an empowered place and continue.
Love it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Show that
Look
book.
at that. Look at that. That's what's up.
Nice.
That's what's up. I love that. Yep. Yep. Yes. Yes.
I think she's coming back, but definitely
Mm-hmm.
um, the platform she gives to us as women, our daughters. Some of us know a lot of the young girls that was on the book.
Mm-hmm.
They,
Their teen girls.
oh, there she goes.
Yeah.
I'm just having some internet. You have to excuse me, everyone. I'm just having some technical issues today. We're having some weather. I'm here in Delaware, and Delaware is Delawarean. I don't know what it's
Oh,
doing with the weather, but it is doing something. And of course, it's affecting the internet. But you guys are continuously, speaking, which I love. So yes, that's the book. So as you can see, viewers from any age, and this is the reason why Jessica Care started this project, is because it doesn't matter what age. As I can't remember which one said it, we all have a story. We all have something to share. We all have a voice. We all have a voice, and we need to use our voice for upliftment, empowerment, education. And the best education is from our life, our experience. That's how God teaches us. That's how our Creator teaches us our best lessons, is from us being tested and refining and chiseling away from the things that we need to leave behind. And as Valerie says so eloquently, our responsibility is to empower others. We don't hoard that. We don't hoard those experiences and those. And this book has the lessons. This book has the tools. This book has the rawness. This book has the transparency. This book has the honesty. This book, I'm a person too. I'm a woman walking the same thing that you're walking, maybe in different times, different places, different spaces. But here's my story. And if I can overcome, and if I can be healed, if I can be empowered, and if I can be resilient, these women, I want to thank you so much for accepting the challenge. Accepting the challenge, because we had some others that started but didn't finish. Didn't finish. And that's their particular journey. Everyone does things at a specific time. So for you to accept the challenge, complete the challenge, and here we are getting ready to launch. We have our book signing on Saturday, June 28th. If you want to come, you can follow us on, if you're following us on Facebook, if you're following us on Instagram, if you're following us on LinkedIn, any page, we have the location there, we have the link. So go and follow our page. Make sure it's right there on Eventbrite. It is our book signing on Saturday, June 28th. And if you can't make the book signing, that's all right. You can me / Jessica Cares / $29.99. That includes shipping and handling. Any final thoughts from you authors before we sign off from today's amazing conversation?
Just believe in yourself.
Yes, yes. And remember, you are the author of your story.
Yes.
You are the author of your story. Own it. Own it.
Yes.
And
I
by
think
the
it's a
book,
beautiful thing when women come together, how great things happen.
Yes, yes.
Just wanted to say, invest in yourself. And this book is a great investment to do so. So keep thriving.
Yes, to Shara.
That's right. Yes.
Delaware is Delawareing.
I know.
So if you want, yes. So it is most definitely. I heard everybody, but I'm just kind of coming in now. So if you want to meet the other 5 authors, we are going to be doing another talk show, Conversations with Asiya, part 2 of the co-authors of H.E.R, Healed, Empowered, Resilient, where we're going to have the other 5 co-authors of this book sharing their journey, answering similar questions. Please come ready. You can put it in the comments so that way we can engage them and you get to learn from them. But for those of you that are here, thank you so much for tuning in and staying patient with us through our technical difficulties. You know how the devil is. You know how Satan is. Anytime you got something powerful to share, he wants to knock it. But we kept pushing and we got through this. So thank you, authors. Thank you, Valerie Drew. Thank you, Tashara. Thank you, Dr. Khadijah. Thank you, Claudette Maldonado, for joining our show today, sharing your literary journey. And for those of you tuning in, make sure you pre-order your book. You can get more than one. So if you want to share with the family, get your copy today.
Buy the book. Buy the book.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, y'all. It's great.